Welcome to Mallory Park. It's Thundersport GB 2017 Round 5. This is where it all began for Thundersport. Their headquarters used to be here. 2008 when it all began. Round 1. Where has the time gone? The biggest class in the series on the grid. Lee Williams there. Thumbs up from him. Reigning champion. There's former champion Phil Crowe. Another former champion also on the grid. John Ingram. Richie Cooper's here. Well, British Supersport rider. Former British Superbike rider as well. He is going to be tough to beat. There he is on that Hawk Racing Suzuki. Leon Jaycock there on the black and pink number 15 as well. He knows his way around Mallory Park, a British Championship runner. So we're all set to go. Big riders out though. Dave Brook, second in the championship, injured himself. He will not be taking part here. Paul McClung and Nico Mawini involved in a nasty accident on the practice day here. They are not here. Best wishes to Nico Mawini. He really got a proper bashing from that accident, and hopefully Paul McClung's bike will be back repaired for the next round. But it's Richie Cooper that gets the best start here at Mallory Park. They now break hard down into Edwinas. He's on a 600, remember, up against these opponents, but given the fact that he's a British Supersport runner, he shouldn't be far off the front of these guys. Will he be in for a shock, you wonder? There is John Ingram then, just up ahead of Leon Jaycock. Billy Mellor out there as well. In fact, Billy Mellor, one of the highest scoring riders in the top 10 of the championship from yesterday, because Lee Williams, reigning champion, current championship leader, went out of yesterday's race with a mechanical. There is Billy Mellor, number 87. On to the start finish straight they go then. Bit of a different look in the background there to this sort of setting around Devil's Elbow from what I remember anyway, as they now tip it into Gerrard's for the first time. Sid's here with me in the commentary box for this race. It's Cooper that leads from Phil Crowe, number 71, and 94 Lee Williams as they break down into Edwinas now, and Lee Williams ain't going to make that. He has to run straight on. Now he was challenging for second there. Where will he rejoin? Just in front of Leon Jaycock there, so no advantage gained. Good to be back at Mallory, Sid.
Yes, lovely. Feels like home, doesn't it, Steve? They made quite a nice job of tidying the place up, put a big effort into it for us, and really pleased to be here. As you say, mixed feelings about the practice day, which we had on the Thursday and then had to have the Friday off. They're not allowed 3 successive noise days here. Nico Mawini, looks like he's going to be okay. So the hospital tells us, but it's going to be a bit of a long job. He's got a few injuries. Paul McClung is okay, but his bike is not okay. So I think there's a lot of constructive work there. Obviously Dave Brook was concussed, so he couldn't restart today and has to take the normal amount of time off. But yeah, great racing at Mallory Park, as we always know, as well as the cheese and pickle sandwiches, which I'm pleased to tell you are absolutely lovely.
Well, on to the start-finish straight we go, and into Edwinas. Phil Crowe late on the brakes, up the inside of Cooper, and then just as they went into the S's, using all the available power, John Ingram passed Richie Cooper as well. So Cooper then is pushed down, in fact now to 4th, because Lee Williams has regrouped. He goes up into 3rd place as well. So the power that's available to Crowe, Ingram and Williams being taken advantage of. Now breaking into Edwinas once more. A tight line there from former champion Phil Crowe. There is the Suzuki of Richard Cooper. He'll not only be out in this race with Thundersport this weekend, but also the Thundersport 600 Elite class as well.
Yeah, you know, it's really funny because around this circuit, Steve, the 600, I think it's probably every bit as good as a 1,000. I mean, when you take into consideration, in fact, the lap record here was set by Sam Lowes on a 600 as well. So they're very nimble, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. That was the day where we had well, probably the last race of the year, actually.
Yeah, it was.
When Sam here was racing, and he set that lap record, as you say, on a Supersport machine. That was his British Supersport machine at the time, I believe, not his World Supersport machine. But anyway, the thing is as well, Sid, that the modern day 1000cc motorcycles have got a bit more mid-range these days, and they're much better balanced machines than they used to be. It's not completely poke them out of the corners and squirt the power on. They are generally handling more like a 600 themselves.
Well, I think it's why the general demise of the 600 machine on the road has gone the way it has, because the 1000, as you say, is smaller machine, much more nimble, but there's still, quite a big lump of power there under your throttle arm, isn't there?
Oh yeah, they're proper weapons, the 1000cc's, and they are a handful coming out of Devil's Elbow there, as you can see, but it's John Ingram here that has the advantage. Both Ingram and Williams now have gone past Phil Crow. This will be interesting. John Ingram, well, whenever he comes back to Thundersport, he's always challenging for race wins, but Lee Williams, the reigning champion, well, Sid, he'll know that that John Ingram isn't part of the championship frame, but I bet there's a bit of him here that's thinking, do you know, I still want to beat him because he's a former champion, and it's just about pride here.
Well, Lee's not as hot-headed as he used to be, dare I say, and he is a thinker with one eye on the championship at all times, which is why even when the chips are down, you'll see him do his utmost to grab a point here and there. In fact, he did yesterday. He got the thing going yesterday when he broke down and went back out and nearly nabbed a 15th, but that's what he was just hoping for, that 1 point just to help him. It could be that at the end of the season, couldn't it?
Well, having not scored any points yesterday, that was close there. Williams thought about a move around the outside of all places, going into Edwinas, having not scored yesterday, and with Dave Brook and Paul McClung out, it's a big opportunity here across the two races for Lee Williams to extend the championship lead before we head into the next round, so he won't want to throw it up the road, that's for sure. Here we see, just a bit further back, number 75, that is Jamie Tibble, just about to score some points by the looks of things. In terms of the Sportsman class, Ben Crow was yesterday's race winner, number 99, and is leading this one as well. But at the front, this is where it matters. Across the line there, they're coming through traffic. Don't get too confused. And up the inside goes Lee Williams into Gerrard. That's big and brave. They're coming up to put a lap there on Rob Heritage, so they're having to go the long way around at Gerrard. Then onto the Steppy Straight. These two in a class of their own at the moment, lapping in the 51s. They're not a million miles away from Sam Lowe's lap record. In fact, they have broken away from Phil Crow in the background, number 71, who's at the moment coming under pressure from Leon Jaycock, and shadowing the pair of them is still Richard Cooper.
The Rams bike was moving around there like out of Gerrard's. I really didn't look happy at all, that bike there. It's his first outing this year, Steve, by the way.
John Ingram, well, it just goes to show you, doesn't it, how accomplished he is as a motorcycle racer. The fact that he can just turn up willy-nilly and still challenge for race wins. The last lap flag is out. Williams leads it from John Ingram. Ingram is not going to let this one go easy. He's not fighting for the championship, remember. He's come out for a play, and he's come out for a winner's trophy. He ain't interested in sitting in second. There's no championship at stake for him. He will surely have a poke or have a nudge here at Lee Williams. Going into Edwinas, he outbrakes him, and that is your classic block pass move. Into Edwinas, Ingram's got it. Will Williams be able to fight back as they now climb uphill through the S's, up towards Shaw's hairpin? Williams here surely has got one more chance at it, but it's a defensive line from John Ingram. Williams is going to have to try something special here. Oh! And clipping the wall at Shaw's hairpin is not the way to do that. And now he will almost certainly settle and wave the white flag. John Ingram on his return wins here, race one at Mallory Park. Lee Williams fortunate in the end to go across the line to take second. And Richard Cooper managed to steal third place overall away from Phil Crow and Leon Jaycock, who went across the line in fourth and fifth. Close race. It could have been so much closer were it not for that moment for Lee Williams right at the end there at the hairpin. Ingram, Williams, Cooper, Crow, Jaycock and Billy Miller, your top six. A round of applause there and a thumbs up from your race winner, John Ingram. And in the Sportsman class, you see there Ben Crow, the winner from Jamie Tibble and Gary Woodward. We'll be back with more action, race 2, and this battle resumes in a few moments. Welcome back to Mallory Park. We're ready for race 2, and so is the Beetle. That seems to be a little resident on our camera lens there ahead of this race. Lee Williams there then. There you see Dave Jack on tour. Nice to see that sticker in memory of the late Dave Jack, who was a marshal here at Thundersport and a permanent resident at Edwina's, constantly picking bikes up. We're still thinking of you, mate. This Beetle's enjoying life. Anyway, there's John Ingram, race 1 winner. Richard Cooper there on his Hawk Racing Suzuki. Leon Jaycock there as well. Further back, we've got Nevesy here with us. Billy Mellor, number 87. Joe Farracher, number 18. Paul Charman as well, number 9. Mark Sykes, 92. Away from the line we go, though, to start race 2. Let's hope it's as good as it was in race 1. Lee Williams takes the whole shot into turn 1. Hanging around the outside, though, was Richard Cooper, and he takes the lead. On board now with Paul Charman further back on his Seaton Tuning Yamaha R1. Around Gerrard's we go, and now down the Stebby straight. It's not a particularly long straight, but just dangling his leg out there. Richie Cooper leads it. Ingram up the inside of Williams. He moves up into second. Oh, a couple of riders on the grass there as well. Further back through the S's and up the hill. There's Phil Crow. Now then, Cooper leads from Ingram, Williams, Crow, Jaycock. Up the inside there aggressively was Billy Mellor as well. Through the bus stop chicane. Not a lot of room for moving around here at Mallory Park, Sid. There never has been, but there are a few decent overtaking opportunities.
There are, but I mean, you're just busy the whole time, aren't you? I mean, there's just no rest. So when you do have a long race, you know, like the GP1 boys tend to, you know, it's very, very, very tiring. And yeah, I mean, we noticed that obviously our main camera bike at the front there, Dave Brook, normally supplies us with some great onboards. He's not in this one, but lovely to see Leon Jaycock back with us, isn't it?
Yeah, Leon, blimey, one of the original riders from Thundersport GB back in the 2008, raced on a 400, was an accomplished rider, moved up onto a 600, then went British Championship and has been racing there. And has been sort of splitting his time up between various championships very, very quick. Nice to see him back. Although I expect even Leon might be slightly surprised at the pace that's being set at the front of this one. With, mind you, he knows all these guys pretty well. Billy Mellor's a British Championship rider. Richard Cooper is as well. He might not have bumped into Lee Williams too many times, although I'm not sure he'll want to again anytime soon. And of course he'll know Phil Crow and John Ingram well. Yeah. So, yeah, nice to see Leon back.
And to be fair, isn't Phil put on a good show? I mean, like, we know that his main object for each year now is the TT, and he did really well at the TT. But my goodness me, he really is on it. He really is good around here.
He is. Phil Crow's good anywhere, really. I mean, I think, Sid, if you were to put Phil Crow in this championship full-time, he would be battling Lee Williams for the championship. At the moment, I would say that Lee Williams has just got the edge over Phil in terms of that outright pace at the moment. But then it's very hard to call, and there are certain circuits where Phil Crow would have an answer for him. But if Phil was racing in this championship full time, make no mistake, he would be battling inside that top 3 overall.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody else who's been doing really well is Ben Crow, funnily enough, and he had his abacus out yesterday because he was telling me that if he won all the races here this weekend, he can take second place for the rest of the season and still win the championship.
Oh, well, there you go. That's probably just overthinking the maths a little bit too much. With 4 rounds still remaining after this, we are, you know, the fact that we're here on Sunday at Mallory Park, we are just past the halfway point of the season. There's still a lot of racing to be done. It doesn't quite work as simple as that, settling for second for the rest of the season. But let's see how it goes. He's going well anyway, and in the Sportsman class. I would say that what Ben Crone wants to be doing now is, of course, focusing on winning that championship, but just seeing week on, week out, how close he can get to these boys at the front. That's where you've got to look at the next level, because that will be the next target ultimately for him. Oh, it's close here, and John Ingram has to sit up and say no thanks. Lee Williams and John Ingram really late on the brakes, and in the end Williams managed to go round just about on the outside. It was a bit touch and go, but that could be a game changer here in this race, because where is John Ingram going to rejoin? Now, we'll have a look out for him. There's Williams, Crow and Cooper. Your top three. Is that Ingram just in fourth? Yeah, it is. But he's lost touch there of Lee Williams. That'll be frustrating for the Ram. There is Ben Crow, number 99, just ahead of Paul Charman and Michael Neves on circuit. Not everyone's favourite, Mallory Park. I have to just point this out. Some riders love it, some riders hate it. It is a bit of a Marmite circuit.
Well, it's the same as our next one, Rockingham, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You just never know. But I mean, the other thing, one of the things that surprised me, you tend to forget how many new riders come into this championship. And because we were here last in 2014, how many riders were telling me that they'd never been here?
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem to compute to me. You know, we'd been here kind of so much that it seemed odd that loads of people hadn't been here.
Phil Crow's just gone straight on there. He's lost some time now as well. He's allowed Cooper through, so every contender that steps up to the plate here to challenge Lee Williams seems to be making mistakes. So on board here with Paul Charman. That's Ben Crow just up ahead of him, almost decking out there, Paul Charman. Yeah, it is surprising how many people haven't raced here before. Of course, when we first started Thundersport GP, probably 80% of our riders were from this area, from the Midlands. And everyone knew Mallory Park quite well.
Well, still, I would imagine the largest proportion of our entry is from the Midlands area, you know, of the country, the East and West Midlands. But I know they do come from far and wide now, Isle of Man, you know, Ireland, North and South.
Are they still doing the Wednesday track days here, Sid?
No, because of the restrictions. But I understand that they're put in for another 20 days for next year, so we'll have to see. You'll notice they've put the soundboarding up there, as you can just see behind. They're doing it, making every effort. They're building banks to try and keep the noise in. But the noise is the big problem, as it is with a lot of the other circuits around the land, to be fair.
It's a bit of a touchy subject, isn't it, to be honest? It's not really one that we've got time to talk about, but I have to be honest with you. I get rather livid when talking about noise at race circuits. If you don't want noise, don't move near a race circuit. It's probably been here longer than the people that are moving into the house.
I've never heard that before, Steve.
Yeah, well, sorry, I can't help myself. And we'll leave it there, and we'll concentrate on the races. Lee Williams it is then that leads this one now, pretty comfortably, it has to be said, since John Ingram has run straight on. He's not really been able to make up too much ground. He's up to third because Phil Crow moved further back after he made a mistake. Richard Cooper there, just floating his way through the traffic and is closing a bit on this lap on Lee Williams, but Williams has this one in the bag, and considering Brooke and McClung are not here, this would be a big 25 points for Lee Williams as we head into Rockingham.
I'll tell you what, when you see Lee all settled in and everything, you can just tell by his riding style, can't you, that everything's lovely in the garden. You know, he's backing it in, it all flows, and you know, he just feels really good. I mean, I know that John Ingram is being harried there, but you know, and they're tripping each other up to let Lee get away. But nevertheless, once Lee's on one, he takes some catching, you know.
He really does. I would say that John Ingram was probably one of our most dominant champions that we've ever had at Thundersport GP1 when he won the season that he did. Lee Williams, though, could become the first rider to actually get back-to-back GP1 titles. And despite the fact that John Ingram has now moved up into second place, he was giving the Ram plenty to think about in that first race, was Lee Williams. I mean, can you imagine how... Oh dear, Rory Parker there. That is your classic bike decking out, coming round on him at Shaw's hairpin. Luckily, he's just out of the firing line there. Last lap flag is out. The Ram ain't going to be catching Lee Williams on this lap. But I have to say, what a mouth-watering prospect it would be if the Ram one day decided, do you know what, I want to come back and fight Lee Williams for the GP1 championship.
That would be a battle and a half, wouldn't it? I mean, and to be fair, last year we got there was a brilliant battle between Josh Day and Lee Williams, and it was well worth the watch, wasn't it, every round.
On his day, Lee Williams is such a tough competitor to beat. John Ingram here in second, Richard Cooper third at the moment. last lap then, and he's not made any mistake this time as he now comes through the chicane. The checkered flag is waiting, and Lee Williams here does capitalise. It's not the fault of the other riders that they're not here, but sometimes on days like this you have to pick up the pieces, and that is a good job done there by the high-tech performance Kawasaki. Lee Williams, the race winner here, ahead of John Ingram, Richard Cooper, Leon Jaycock and Phil Crow. Billy Mello once again in 6th place, but this round could be rather significant for Williams overall in the championship. We'll look at the standings in a minute. There are the top 3 then: Williams, Ingram, Cooper. And in the Sportsman class, Ben Crow winner again, ahead of Jamie Tibble and Gary Hutchinson. Let's look at those points then. Lee Williams clearly leading. That's not bad at all. That is a 68-point lead going into Rockingham, ahead of Dave Brooke, who will be back for Rockingham, I'm sure. Billy Mellor's moved up to 3rd now, ahead of Paul McClung. In the Sportsman class, Ben Crow it is there. Then he has a nice, handsome advantage there over Jamie Tibble. Gary Woodward's 3rd, ahead of Gary Hutchinson, Sonny Martin and Sam McFarlane. It's good to be back here at Mallory Park, and we hope to visit these parts once again next year. But next up for us, it's Rockingham. We'll see you for round 6 soon.